This is a caring sector, and we do what we do because we love what we do. But that doesn't mean that you need to keep me impoverished.
Civic engagement, it has empowered me. It has allowed me to understand my worth.
This is about supporting one another. We need to work collectively to ensure that our society changes.
Join us
for the second annual
National Day,
A Day Without Childcare,
on May 8th, 2023.
There are so many different ways that you can be able to participate. There's sign-on letters, you can participate in actions that are occurring, or you could just even utilize social media to be able to amplify the importance of early childhood education. The same way you challenge the amazing children that you care for, challenge yourself and challenge what you're willing to do to be a part of that change.
Wow, what a powerful video. And it is a great reminder of how essential we are to families, to our communities, and to the economy. We are so glad that today each of you have brought your light to shine for today's press conference ahead of our historic Day of Action for Childcare on Monday, May 8th. Welcome everyone, my name is BriTanya Brown and I'm going to be your MC for today for our press event. I'm so excited that you're here with us. We're going to get started in a couple of minutes, and if you're a member of the press, we ask that you submit your questions using our Q&A feature in the Zoom settings below. All right, now that everybody's gotten settled, again, my name is BriTanya Brown. I'm a mother of twins and the owner of Our Loving Village in-home childcare program in Stamford, Texas. I'm also an organizer with Community Change Action's Childcare Changemakers, which is a national network of childcare providers, parents, and families fighting for an equitable childcare solution that our economy needs to run. If you hear a bit of the nap time music in the background, that's because, again, I'm a childcare provider. It is nap time, and we are here to advocate today, and I love showing up for this cause. Our childcare system is in crisis, though. Although me and other parents and childcare providers have been advocating, speaking out, and in the streets protesting for a better solution, we've mostly been met with a lot of inaction by our local, state, and federal elected officials. We can no longer afford to wait. Our families are running out of options and we're under attack. And that's why on Monday, May 8th, we're gearing up for the largest National Day of Action for Childcare in recent history. Community Change Action's second annual Day Without Childcare is happening. And with our partners and national allies, providers are coming together to wage over 50 in-person and virtual events in more than 20 states across the country on Monday, May 8th. This spans from Jacksonville to North Carolina and all the way to Salem, Oregon, and everywhere in between. What's more, over 650 childcare providers, center owners, and workers, with the support from thousands of their parents and families that they serve, have pledged to close their doors or call out on Monday. Our goal is to send a very clear message that those in power, when y'all don't fund our childcare system at the level it truly costs, all of us, business owners, families, and most importantly, our kids bear the cost. When we don't have a fully funded childcare system, the true cost of care is financial, emotional, and socioeconomic. And it gets placed on the shoulders of women, especially Black and Brown women, who make up a disproportionate amount of the childcare workforce, and the parents who are also bearing the burden of caretaking. So that's why on Monday, May 8th, we have 3 core demands that childcare workers and families everywhere will be uplifting. 1, we want thriving wages for all childcare providers, regardless of what setting you care for children in. Secondly, we want an equitable childcare system that's built on racial and gender justice. And third, we want and need affordable childcare for all families. Although we haven't won the fully funded childcare system that we all need to thrive, There has been decades of organizing work that has pushed the needle and made progress with a Democratic-led Congress and with the Biden administration. Together, we fought for and won an additional $50 billion in federal relief for childcare sectors and expanded investments in the CCDBG and Head Start funding pools. And a recent executive order from President Biden that was signed just a couple of weeks ago recognized and uplifted the very important actions needed to address the need for quality care jobs. Our partners have been advocating in childcare work in their states and implementing federal expansion and winning new funding and policy changes. With our coalition members and our partners in New Mexico at their organization, L.O.V.E, Organizers in the Land of Enchantment, they actually won dedicated funding for early childhood education in their state constitution. That is the first state to do so, and I'm super excited about it. Our partners in Childcare Changemakers across the nation have been winning local investments for childcare through funding from the American Rescue Plan. But those advances are under threat. House Republicans have passed a bill that would hold our economy hostage with massive spending cuts to the federal programs we need. And according to the Department of Health and Human Services, their proposed cuts could mean a loss of 101,000 childcare slots. Let me say that again, 101 precious children unable to have childcare and over 2,000 Head Start slots. That's once again disproportionately affecting the Black and Brown families and the Black and Brown educators who do this work. To those elected officials who are refusing to support our childcare legislation and funding, we tell you, don't you dare cut our care. Rep. McCarthy's bill to slash childcare has been going for the next 10 years, but childcare programs nationwide are continuing to suffer from staffing shortages and low enrollment, and too many are closing down for good. For the first time in 2021 during the pandemic, I had to make the incredibly hard decision to close down my childcare program for financial and mental health reasons. I was driving myself crazy, essentially, trying to find jobs in between the low enrollment my childcare program was facing, and also making sure that I can support my own family and stabilize the childcare crisis in my community. Recently, I was able to get back on my feet and reopen my center, but the mental and budget gymnastics that I have to go through every day, y'all, it's exhausting. I'm constantly worrying about how I'm going to keep my lights on so that the children can read, and how I'm going to pay for these nutritious meals that I'm required to serve. And every day I have to question if my family will actually have enough to eat. It doesn't have to be this way though. That's why on Monday, May 8th, for the National Day Without Childcare, I will be closing my doors and taking action. Because before I pass the mic off, I want you to hear from others that are calling on the leaders in their local communities to step up for us. I just want to remind the press who is attending today this call, we have a Q&A feature that you can submit questions, and we'll make sure to get those into our queue once everyone's done speaking. And if you're interested in finding out more about the National Day Without Childcare, please visit www.daywithoutchildcare.org. Now I'm super honored to introduce the first speaker, who is a fellow Texan who is closing her childcare doors and leading actions in the state of Texas. She's gonna be by my side on Monday, May 8th at the Texas Capitol in Austin. And her name is Miss Loretta Johnson of Loretta's World Childcare. Loretta, can you tell us some more about you? Oh, you're on mute, there you go.
Hey. Thank you, BriTanya. Good afternoon. My name is Loretta Johnson. I'm a licensed home care provider in Dove Springs in Southeast Austin. I've been working in child care since 1999. I'm closing my doors on May 8th because since I've been working in child care, things haven't never been this bad before. Early this year, my husband ended up in the hospital with heart and kidney failure. I lost 5 days of pay because as a provider in Texas, I'm unable to accrue more than a few days of PTO to earn for the entire year. It's impossible for us to take vacation or care for our loved one when they get sick. Personally, I'm living paycheck to paycheck. Those 5 days meant a lot to me. Too often, I have to choose between taking care of my family or closing my door. According to the Texas Association for the Education of Young Children, on average, every childhood educator in Texas earn just only $12 an hour. Let me say, they earn just $12 an hour, leaving 90% of us without a livable wage because our lower wage amount 70% of child care program in Texas. Can't find staff. Early childhood education are leading the industry in droves. With a thin margin, child care programs do not have funding to increase pay and family cannot afford tuition. Over half of the children child care program reports they have to cut wages when federal government ends. It's absolutely wild to me that we can't find money at a local, state, or national level fund to child care for families so providers don't have to live in poverty. When our country is looking for funding a war, we always seem to find the money. But when our country is looking for to educate children, we can never seem to find enough. I'm participating in the Day Without Child Care last year. This year, I'm so excited. Even more family and provider at the Capitol. We're building incredible monuments in our states, but across the country, just a few weeks ago, President Biden himself signed an executive order uplifting the workers of childcare and like me. I know this makes this tough decision to close for the day. It's going to be painful for my bank account, but I know that not participating in Day Without Childcare this year will even be more painful in my heart and in my soul, because I want to let everyone know that we are the child care, we are the workers behind the workforce. That's what we are. Thank you.
Absolutely, Miss Loretta. Thank you so much. And I can't wait to stand in solidarity with you at the state capitol on Monday. Next, I'd like to introduce Evelan Fountain, who is a fourth-generation childcare worker from Pennsylvania. Evelan, take it away.
Thank you, BriTanya. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Evelan Fountain, and I work at Family Circle Academy in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I am a mother to 3 wonderful children. As an early educator, my mother was an educator, my grandmother is an educator, and my great-grandmother is an educator. So the passion for me runs deeply. That's why when I heard about A Day Without Childcare last year, I knew I had to get involved. This year, May 8th, I'm working with my center's owner in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, to shut down in Raleigh and City Hall with hundreds of providers and families. We're demanding thriving wages for child care providers, affordable child care for all families, and a child care system built on racial and gender justice. I've been working in child care for over 15 years, and I've often heard that this is just daycare or this is just a babysitter job, and it's not. Or how hard can this job really be? But I would invite anyone, especially our elective officials who are choosing not to fund the true cost of childcare, to come and work at a childcare center for just a couple of weeks while trying to pay all of your bills. It's impossible. A couple of weeks ago, I was one of the lucky educators who got to go to Washington, D.C. to sit with Biden as he signed the executive action for childcare in our country's. Although this order has not been the transformational funding that we so desperately need for our educational system, it was an incredible first step, and it showed that President Biden was listening and all of our actions are really making a difference. That's why I'm more inspired than ever to continue doing the work that I've been doing, and I hope everyone will join us on May 8th for A Day Without Childcare. Thank you.
Absolutely. It is so nice to hear that, Evelan. Thank you so much. And as you said, our movement is growing. We are all afforded the opportunity to take action to solve this childcare crisis. And next, I'd love to introduce our next speaker, who is a childcare worker from Indianapolis, Danielle Walker. Danielle, there you go.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Danielle Walker. I am from Indianapolis. I am a second-generation childcare provider. I work for L.O.V.E, your childcare in Indianapolis. My mom opened the in-home center after she became pregnant with my third sibling back when I was 10. She figured out that she just couldn't afford childcare, so she opened her own. I currently work at a center and make $15 an hour, which is way above average for Indiana. Indiana's average is $11.06 an hour. So even though I work 35 hours a week, because I had to take up 2 extra jobs, 2 part-time jobs to support myself to be able to live on my own without having to live in a neighborhood that is unsafe to live in by yourself as a woman. I love kids and I love what I do, and I would love to have my own kids one day, but unfortunately, with the amount that I work for what I work for, it's just impossible to do so. I have put down a lot of the creative adventures and endeavors that I enjoy doing, like art, just to be able to support myself. This is not right in Indiana. Providers like me are leaving childcare because working 3 jobs is just impossible. And who wants to do that, choose to do that instead of doing what they actually love to do? According to the 19th News, childcare censored is still over 60,000, positions nationwide that need to be filled. And with the House representatives choosing to do budget cuts, that would cut Indiana down to 1,500 or cut down 5,000 for preschools in Indiana. So this is a real crisis that we're still dealing with. So on May 8th, my child care center and my boss, Kelly, we are working to do a caravan downtown to let our state senators know how we feel about child care. Thank you, BriTanya.
Danielle, what a powerful movement that you're going to be a part of. I cannot wait to see the photos and videos of that caravan down to the Indiana State House. Next, I'm going to pass it to Nicole Flick, who is a provider and organizer with Isaiah in Minnesota, where there are some groundbreaking things that are happening in childcare. Nicole.
My name is Nicole Flick, and I own ABC 123 Child Enrichment Center right outside the Fargo-Moorhead area in Minnesota. I have been working in this industry for 19 years, and I am a leader with Kids Count on Us, who organizes with over 500 community-based childcare centers and family providers across Minnesota. Today, I am here fighting for myself and all my colleagues, just like me, who work 80 hours a week, who are attempting to be the HR team, the plumber, the teacher, the bus driver, the cleaner, the administrative coordinator, the behavior coordinator, the curriculum coordinator, the cook, a spouse, and most importantly, I am a mom of 2 young children who never get to see me because I'm here showing up for all the other moms and dads who need to be at work. The average pay for a full-time early childhood education teacher working in a childcare center in Minnesota is $27,000 a year. They receive no medical insurance and have no retirement benefits. To qualify as impoverished in Minnesota, a mother and her child is defined as making less than $32,000 a year. The majority of our teachers are young women that are starting families, building a career, and trying to make ends meet. This is not okay. That's why last year on the first day without childcare, I organized a rally where all 8 centers in Moorhead and Dilworth stood on the corners of busy streets and held up signs to fully fund childcare and help solve the childcare crisis. Across Minnesota, Kids Count on Us engaged in over 5,000 parents, teachers, and providers calling to address the critical role childcare plays in our communities. Years of organizing led up to this 2023 legislative session where we have been winning big for early childcare and education. So far, we've won a historic $1 billion ongoing funding for childcare, positioned to win a new Department of Children, Youth, and Families, increased childcare assistance rates for the first time since 2003 to the federal required level, fighting to get full funding for retention payments and make them go permanent instead of cutting those payments in half, which go directly to our childcare teachers, critical for the workforce in Minnesota. To get these things over the finish line, we are using our 2023 Day Without Childcare to solidify our agenda, but especially getting retention payments for teachers passed. This year, we expanded our action in Moorhead to include 12 centers and 4 other community organizations who are standing with us. We are going to be gathering with over 75 people who are standing with us to hold a rally calling for investments in our workforce and families need. To show the numbers that we are here standing and fighting to be heard and seen. In other parts of Minnesota, Kids Count on Us is using May 8th to celebrate and share the power we built through the screening of a documentary called The Labor of Love, a day in the life of a childcare provider. We're having screenings in Fairmont, Rochester, the Twin Cities, and Duluth, and bringing in all parents, teachers, and community members who have taken action this year together. In Minnesota, we're building a movement to see and treat this profession with dignity and respect, with real wages and compensation. We're at the beginning of our wins, and we've made it here because of the consistent and unrelenting power building providers and leaders across the base have been doing for a long time. Special thanks to Representative Dave Pinto for working tirelessly to educate his fellow legislators in our industry and to get a yes vote on our bills and make changes we've been after for years. I'd like to introduce Representative Pinto, our early education hero.
Thank you, Nicole. And many thanks to BriTanya and Loretta and Evelan and Danielle, and to all of our early childhood educators for the work that you're doing, getting kids off to a great start. I'm Dave Pinto. I'm the chair of the House Children and Families Committee in Minnesota, and a state representative. And that great start really is what we've built so much of our work around in Minnesota, is to recognize that the work that these folks are doing and that you all are doing is not only about allowing parents to work, as important as that is, and having them be able to put food on the table and pay the rent, do all the things that childcare is necessary for. It's not only to allow our economies to expand, to address the worker shortage we have. We know that childcare is one of the biggest expenses or challenges that our employers and communities have throughout the state. Even setting any of that aside, what this is about is getting kids off to the great start that they deserve. And we know that there's a payoff for the rest of their lives. And we know that we make investments when kids get a little bit older, when they're age 5, we recognize the importance of that. And we all are saying that we need to recognize the importance of these early years as well. As was referenced by Nicole and by others, the wages that are made by the people who do this work, again, there's no more important work in society, are abysmally low. In our state, about a quarter of the people who do this work experience food insecurity themselves. It's pretty hard to take care of a kid and give them the nurturing environment that they need, a small child, if you yourself are not sure where your next meal is going to come from. About a third are on public assistance. And again, we're spending money to help these folks out of deep poverty, the people who are doing the work to take care of our young kids. And at the same time, parents are paying a really high percentage of their income for childcare and early learning. And if you're from the press, you may be looking at this and asking, well, wait a second, how could those numbers add up if parents are paying so much of their income, and yet the workers are getting so little money? What's going on? Why does that not, something's wrong? Where's the money going? And the answer is that the economics are broken. They do not work in the same way that public education wouldn't work if there was some public support. There needs to be ongoing public support. We're recognizing that in our state, and other states are around the country as well. We need to finally recognize that when we get young kids off to a great start, we all benefit by doing that. And that's something that is worth the investment. As Nicole said, we're prioritizing that in our state in all kinds of ways. And there's still a lot more to go in our state and in our country to recognize the incredible work of the other people who are on this call. And so my gratitude to them for organizing this, and I look forward to hearing from a few more speakers. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Representative Pinto and Nicole, for highlighting what's really some great work in Minnesota. I look forward to ripping a page out of y'all's book to make sure that my Texas lawmakers, and I know other advocates, are going to be following y'all's steps to win big in our states. We need more elected officials like you to be childcare champions at every level. Local, city council, mayors, all of these people, state legislators, and our federal Congress. We need y'all to step up. Next, we're going to head over to California. I want to introduce you to Dot Cooper, who is a parent and childcare organizer with Parent Voices Oakland. Dot?
Okay, can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Okay, well, my name is Dorothy Cooper. I'm an organizer with Parent Voices Oakland, of course. And as you can see, I have my kid with me. Okay, want to say hello? Matthew. Well, can you guys see him? Okay, there he is. Say hi. Hi, everyone. Well, this is because his school is on strike today, so that's why he's here with me, and because his teachers are getting their way. So on Monday, May 8th, though, we're going to have a day without childcare, and so all over the country, we're going to be supporting the childcare providers that gives our kids quality care, the ones who need a livable wage, and the ones who make a difference, right? So as a parent, you may think I'm worried about the inconvenience. Of course, it always seems like that way, because if the childcare centers are ran, then our kids are there, and then we can do our work. But if that's not the case, then it will create some type of barrier or struggle, right? So in early education businesses, if they were to be forced to be eliminated, for example, yes, that would make things a lot more difficult. So if you want to look at the details of the dismantling, if they were not funded, then you could see the difference in the necessity to have them open versus to not have them open. So that's the gist of the issue that would affect me. Not so much that I would go a day without childcare, but just to have that cut out as an option would definitely be stressful. I can agree to that. So to make it affordable for parents like me, and a pair of childcare providers, a living minimum wage will increase their resources so that way they can invest in the work that they love to do. And with that investment, they're able to provide the quality care, the high quality care, that we're looking for, the things that help our children succeed in school. So we want to be appreciative of that. We want to lift that up. We want to cheerlead for those childcare providers who are already fully invested, just need a little bit more support and resources and sustaining the funding, so that way they can continue to give our children the right level of nurturing and care that increases their social and economic productivity. It will have actually top 5. I have.
Oh, Dot, we lost your audio. Can you turn it back on?
That I thought was important, the first 5, which is social and emotional development and communication skills. Because usually in early Head Start or early education, those things are taught to our children. We are the children's first teacher. However, if we're working, you always want to have or choose a provider that is equivalent to what you would have standard at home. So the pre-literacy, of course, increased cognitive abilities. For the providers who are deeply invested, these things will be at top priority. Improving language and development so that the awareness of the children and their environments and the roles that they play will get along just well. So children who receive these quality care are more likely to build and maintain better relationships, of course, with parents, adults, and other children, as I've seen. And as a parent, I support the providers, as I just mentioned, participating in a day without childcare, because I know for the future of our children, we need to fund true high-cost quality care. So I know that's what the funding would do. That's what I know that the providers would do. So let's cheerlead, let's get them the money that they need, so that way we can invoke this change. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dot. For a parent perspective, I always get a little bit choked up because so many of my parents feel the same way. When I told them that I was closing last year and this year, they said, Miss Beebe, we stand by you. You do a lot for this community, and we know that when we send you to Austin, or when we send you to DC, that you're going to make a way for us. So next, I'd like to introduce another childcare provider and proud CCPU Childcare Providers United member who is fighting for a fully funded childcare system. Her name is Deborah Corley, and here you go.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Deborah Corley Marzette, and I've been a family daycare provider here in Kern County for more than 23 years. I am a member of the union Local 521, as well as Childcare Providers United. And I'm on the contract negotiations team. For 17 years, California providers fought for the right to unionize. And in the middle of the pandemic, our hard work became a reality. And through that hard work, California providers now have the right to collectively bargain with the state. We hope in the future, everyone who works in this field in childcare has the right the same right that we have, because we deserve it. During the pandemic, daycare providers opened their doors to ensure that the children of California workers could be cared for. Providers put their lives on the line while suffering physically, emotionally, and financially. While holding up California's economy, providers were underpaid and worked without benefits, zero retirement, and no health care. During the pandemic, providers who were able to remain open stayed open out of necessity and out of the love for the families and the children they serve. California has never experienced what a day without childcare looks like. And in the past, California providers have been hesitant on this action. But California's past hesitation is becoming a reality for this action. Providers' resilience, dedication, and purpose is the very reason why California's frontline workers, essential workers, and all workers were able to continue working and to keep California's economy on a right path of recovery. Providers should be a part of California's recovery plan. And providers deserve it, and we deserve the respect of our state. The state cannot turn its back on providers and not include us in their upcoming budget. Last year, the state had a record, are you sitting down? $100 billion. And providers are still waiting for their promised one-time COVID-19 financial relief stipend. That is why family childcare providers across California are coming together and calling out the state to do its part to help providers. We deserve retirement, health care, and to be paid based on the true cost of care, permanent reimbursement based on enrollment and not attendance. And parents deserve no parent fees. This budget must include these things in order to help stabilize childcare and lay a foundation for building a strong system. There'll be more disasters like the floods California recently experienced and the COVID-19 pandemic. And California will once again ask providers to step up, show up, and support California's workforce and the economy, as well as the family and the children we serve. I'm just praying there'll be providers left to do so. The state needs to work with CCPU in good faith to help us reach an agreement we all can be proud of. CCPU stands in solidarity with Childcare Changemakers who are taking these bold actions and calling out and closing their doors to win better wages and working conditions. Thank you.
Wow, such a powerful, motivational experience you have, Ms. Deborah. I appreciate you, and I know eyes are set on California to see how this turns out. And direct action is proving that we can be out there. We can make sure our names and our causes are heard. I thank you so much for everybody who's spoken today. We're super inspired by all the fights across the nation. We are raising the ceiling for pay and benefits for childcare providers everywhere when we all take action together. Next, I'm going to pass it to Dominica, who is the Director of Public Relations at Community Change Action, to moderate our Q&A section.
Thanks, BriTanya, and thank you everyone for sharing your stories and talking about why you're participating in Day Without Childcare this year. I am seeing a question already in the queue from Chabeli. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. From the 19th, who is asking if we have specific numbers of providers who are closing their doors for the day. So BriTanya, I'll actually pass it back to you to answer this question.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your question, and definitely super excited to announce that we have 650 plus providers who have pledged to close their doors, and we have 50 events across 20 states and the District of Columbia. Providers were taking action last year, and they are super inspired to take action again. And I remember at the last meetings that we were having before the Day Without Childcare last year, events were popping up out of nowhere, just because the energy of this movement is something that people can see and feel. The theme of our Day Without Childcare this year is that we truly carry the costs of an underfunded childcare system. We want to be outside. We want to be in the streets protesting, but we ultimately want to just do our jobs. So this Day Without Childcare is a national day of solidarity where we're standing up, and we are so excited for everybody who's taking just one day of action to raise awareness with us for the Day Without Childcare to prevent a permanent Day Without Childcare in the United States of America.
Thanks, BriTanya. Chabeli, did that answer your question? And you can also, I can also take you off mute too if you have any follow-ups. Awesome. Okay. And it looks like we have another question in the chat from Chanel Hunter. Has planning started for next year? Do we have plans to do any actions next year, especially since it's going to be an election year?
Oh, Chanel, that is such a great question. And I know you're holding down Pennsylvania. I'm super excited to say that me and my Texas team are already thinking about the plans for next year. We know our Texas electeds are not supporting childcare at any rate here when it comes to making sure that those bills that are in the state legislature as well as in Congress get their support. So we are definitely planning post our day of childcare action on Monday, May 8th. We're going to get together on Saturday, May 27th, to start thinking about what this actually means next year for us and how to plan and meet with our electeds. We're hoping that they actually come speak. But to anybody else who is taking action, who's on our speaker panel, I'd love to hear if you and your teams are planning any Day Without Childcare events for next year. And I see Chanel in the chat is saying she is super ready to start planning the next Day Without Childcare in 2024. Do it big and do it better. That's right.
All right. So if you are planning a Day Without Childcare event already for next year, put it in the chat. We'd love to hear about it. And I have a question. Actually, I wanted to ask for Nicole in Minnesota, if you are still with us. Are you still with us, Nicole? Or maybe we have Lydia. Oh, Nicole's there. Okay, there you are. Cool. So I mean, it just sounds like there's a lot of big things happening in Minnesota. You're on the cusp of winning some really cool stuff on childcare. Can you tell us a little bit about how the organizing that Kids Count on Us has done has really led to this moment?
Sure. I think just the sheer amount of providers that Kids Count on Us has been able to retain to advocate on behalf of all the childcare centers, home providers, certified centers across Minnesota just speaks to the volume of people that need to see this change between parents and community members. That's all anybody's talking about in Minnesota is the childcare problem. So I think Kids Count on Us has been the backbone of that, and making sure that they're there at the Capitol and they have their voice in the ears of the legislators, making sure they're making the right decisions with us in mind too. So I think they're our biggest advocate at this point in time because we have to be at work. So they're our only lobbyists really. So that's their big thing, is helping us get our voices heard, and they're really good at it.
Thanks, Nicole. Awesome. I am not seeing any other questions in the chat right now, but please put them if you have them. And I have another question for the group. So I know that Evelan, you mentioned you were able to attend the signing of the executive order on care at the Rose Garden, which is so exciting. And there was also, April was also recognized as Care Workers Recognition Month. So we can really feel like the momentum building around the childcare movement. I have my question to Evelan and to everyone actually on the panel is, how do you feel like May 8th will help you keep that momentum going, especially as we're seeing the House GOP threaten some of this progress, as I know some of you mentioned.
So thank you for the question. Being able to be at the White House on, I think it was April 18th, was very eye-opening, and it just showed how if we continue to do what we're doing now, rally together, let our voices be heard, and just tell them the importance of early childhood education. We're the educators that are starting from the ground level. When children are learning, they don't go to first grade and kindergarten and just have all of this knowledge. It starts with us. And I think if we just continue to put the pressure on our electives and let them know that we're not going to be silenced, and we do an important job, just as their jobs are important, but they work for us. And if we want them to hear us, we have to continue to work together. So I think by doing May 8th, it's just another way to show them that we're not going to be quiet and that we're sticking this out for the long run. This is not a one-day thing. Yes, it's only one day that we're closing down, but we're going to continue to do it, and we're going to continue to do it until we are heard. And I think that us working together is just the beginning. And just like I said, yes, when Biden signed the order, it was the first step. And, you know, if we continue to do what we're doing, he's going to do more, and we're going to see changes being made.
Thank you. Awesome. Well, I so appreciate all of you for taking the time out of your busy days to do this press conference. And I know that so many of you have to actually go back and check on the kids that you're taking care of. So I will let BriTanya maybe close us out.
I'm super excited and so grateful to have everybody's time and energy on this national movement for childcare. We can't do it without each other. One of our big sayings that we say in early care work and everywhere is that it takes a village. Our economy runs on childcare, but we should not have to have a national mobilization every single year or every day or every month just to get the funding that we need. We need childcare funding now. We are asking our elected officials to fund our children now so that they can have a better future, to fund the early care educators who do this work so that we can provide for our own families and have a better quality of life. When we invest in our childcare system, we invest in our economy. We invest in our children, the families, and the businesses that it takes to run. So I'm hoping that everyone, no matter where you are, can feel the energy and the historic changes that are about to happen with this National Day Without Childcare. Shine your light. I'll see you on Monday, May 8th.